Yo, what's up guys? Today we're taking a look at the highest damage units in All-Star Tower Defense. Let's get it. But before we do, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and help us reach our code unit goal of 500k subs so we can unlock our next code unit. And hey, maybe we'll make it a high damage unit too. Or if you want it to be, guys, we can make it a support unit as well. Also, guys, don't forget to use my star code BLAM whenever buying Robux or Premium. It's free and helps support the channel. All right, let's get it, guys. So so first up, guys, we're gonna start off with the number 20th highest DPS in the game, guys, and that is Tondro. Yeah, I know you guys are probably surprised that Tondro made this list, but he barely did. The thing that makes him special is he's actually going to be the highest DPS sunburn unit in the game. If we take a look at his max stats, guys, at level 1, he's going to actually at max level, he's doing roughly 3 million DPS. All right, and that is factoring in his sunburn damage as well. Now, the reason he's so low on this list, and you'll see like compared to like the other effects, is because sunburn is one of the worst effects in the game for damage. However, it does also slow the units. So yeah. All right, next up, guys, at the 19th highest DPS in the game, it's actually a slow unit, guys. Griffith damage is actually not too bad. He has a roughly I'd probably say like 5% more damage than Tondro. If you take a look, factoring in the sunburn. And what makes both of these guys great is they're both hybrids. Also, this guy's a slow unit as well, which is very, very nice. And they actually made his AoE very good nowadays. So I honestly recommend this guy just in general for a slow unit. I don't really think you can go wrong. So we'll turn on attack effects as well so you can see that to make the video better. Look at that, guys. Bang. So that brings us to the 18th highest DPS in the game. We have a 6-star, guys. 6-star Sword Maid. Now, Sword Maid has barely any more damage than Griffith does. All right, you guys can see if we compare the two, you're going to notice that less damage, but again, you see that SPA makes up all the difference. And also, if you take a look, Saber also has a way nicer AoE circle. So Saber is actually a fairly decent unit, especially if you guys can't get 7 stars yet. So a very high DPS at number 18. All right, number 17th highest DPS, we have the best poison unit in the game. Now, that's kind of interesting that the poison unit is this far down. Oh my gosh, Sword Maid's attacks are still bugged. But you can definitely see why he's better. All right, he does have a lower SPA, but then you factor in poison, and that's the difference between the two. All right, Magellan is also a very nice unit, guys. He is a hybrid as well, which is very nice. Definitely the best poison unit in the game. However, if you guys take a look, you're going to notice that poison is actually one of the worst effects in the game, which is why he's only number 17 on this list. 7 times over 21 seconds is very bad for an effect. All right, speaking of the next effect, guys, we have probably the worst of the best bleed units in the game. We have Strength doing 2.4 million for 9, and then right after Strength, we actually Power. Strength is the copyright name. We have Katana Man. Now you're going to notice Katana Man is doing slightly more DPS than Strength. So honestly, I think it's a better AoE circle and same range. All right, so honestly, I don't understand why you would ever use Power. Power is unfortunately an obsolete unit. All right, he's even cheaper to max. Wow. So yeah, don't use Power, guys. Unfortunately, Power is now obsolete to this guy, Katana Man. All right, let's go do number 15 through number 10. All right, here we go, guys. Oh, whoa, Nezuko, chill, girl, chill. All right, so we're gonna have to delete Nezuko because you know what I mean. So Nezuko is the 14th highest DPS unit in the game. However, if you take a look, guys, the problem with Nezuko is, yeah, she only hits bleeding units. So I don't really necessarily recommend her, but she is a full AoE unit at the end, which is very, very nice. All right, that takes us to the number 13th highest DPS in the game. We have Gohan. Now, you're going to notice that Gohan's DPS doesn't look too hot. But what makes Gohan good is he's a rage unit, so he's going to be gaining damage every single wave, 128k, and he'll peak out and be one of the better units in the game. All right, his DPS is around, let's take a look here. His DPS is around 1.9 million at level 1. And that brings us to our next unit, guys, one of the better bleed units. Not the best bleed unit, mind you, but we have Chainsaw Man. Now, I never recommend bringing Chainsaw Man to the game. I think he's obsolete compared to Sid, but he's a pretty decent unit overall. All right, bleed is probably the best effect in the game. If you take a look, it's 5 times over 8 seconds, and you can compare to burn, which is actually the next one. So even with the worst effect, Shisui actually did beat out Denji, and honestly, guys, it's very close. Like, it's roughly the same amount of damage. And the funny thing is they both have like the same AoE. but actually Shisui's is slightly better, and he also hits airs as well. Now burn is also one of the better ones. It's 7/12 versus 5/8. So let me do the math real quick. So I did the math. Bleed is slightly better, but because of his higher damage, Shisui is definitely a better, higher DPS unit, but it's only by about like 27,000 DPS, which is nothing in this game when units are doing 3 million. So they're barely different, but Shisui does hit the airs. So that takes us to our next unit, the best, I believe he's the best air bleed unit right now in the game. We have Zoro 7-star at the 10th highest DPS in the game. Now there's actually a fairly big jump between him and Shisui. It's about 300,000 DPS. So I definitely always recommend bringing this guy. Now, unfortunately, his AoE circle is so terrible that it's kind of hard for me to recommend him. But overall, he's a pretty dang good unit. All right, now this brings us to our the first of the week, I guess the weakest Black Flames unit in the game. All right, honestly, guys, Black Flames units always go high on this list. I don't know why. 21 times over 40 seconds. I would say Black Flames is definitely probably the best effect in the game, or one of the best effects in the game. Let me do the math real quick. Yeah, it's slightly worse than Burn, but it's still a very, very good effect. And factoring in that and his damage and his faster SPA, I believe it's mainly his faster SPA, because if you take a look at Zoro, you're going to notice that Zoro has a 12 SPA, and they're doing the same amount of damage. So Sasuke definitely has the edge, and I believe he has a bigger circle AoE as well. So Sasuke is definitely the GOAT. All right, this brings us, guys, to the top 10 right now. All right, so let's go to number 8, and this actually is going to surprise you. I'm surprised he's this low on the list. All right, here we go. All right, guys, I did the math. Actually, Tony Stark doesn't even make the list. He's actually not that good of a unit, which is very, very surprising. So if you guys are wondering why this guy's not on the list, it's because his DPS is not as high as you think it is. All right, so there's a very big jump between Sasuke and Kirito. So yeah, also guys, I'm not 1000% sure on Kirito's damage calculation, so he might be slightly lower or slightly higher on this list. But right now I have him at number 8th highest DPS in the game. All right, the reason being he's kind of weird is he has a weird ability. Basically every third hit he does triple the damage. So we're still trying to wait for the calculations on that one to get the exact numbers right. But I have him right now at 2.8 million DPS. So he's a very, very good unit. I definitely recommend giving him like a magic orb or a range orb. Should be good to go. But he's also very expensive as well. One of the most expensive units in the game at 14 millis. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, that brings us to our first of the Rupture units. All right, this one is the worst Rupture unit at number 7, but he's still really good, guys. Rupture is one of the best effects in the game. All right, it's basically a lot like Sasuke's effect. And he is doing almost exactly 3 million DPS, just slightly less than 3 million. All right, so he's a very, very good unit. So that's what Rupture looks like. That's the effect. That's pretty cool. So definitely a very busted OP unit. Highly recommended. Now this one isn't going to surprise people. We got our boy Obito. All right, now Obito is another Black Flames unit. Now if we compare it to a lot of units, the reason he's so high on this list is actually because of his SPA. All right. Technically, I wouldn't recommend him per se because he's very expensive. If you wanted to max out all 8 of him, that's 6 times 8. That's a lot of money. But because his SPA is so fast and his damage is so high, he's actually pretty freaking goated, even without Black Flames. Like, if you remove the Black Flames from him, he's surprisingly high on this list still. But the thing is, I only ever recommend placing 1 or 2 because of his price. So keep that in mind, guys. For practical applications, he's probably going to be slightly lower on this list. I'd probably have him lower than even Kirito. All right, so next up, guys, we have our boy Sid. Actually, wait, I'm just kidding. We have Hudron the Mystic. Now, I don't understand how the heck Hudron the Mystic is this high on the list, but I'm pretty sure I know the reason. The reason he's so high on this list is actually like twofold. First up, he's a very, very expensive unit. If you take a look at his cost to max, it is very, very high. Look at that. Very high cost to max. But the thing that makes him so good is his very, very fast SPA. His range is a little bit mid, but he is full AoE, so I guess you can kind of do it. And his Tide Pool ability has a very, very fast respawn time if you take a look at it. So factoring all of that in, if you can somehow max them all out, he's actually the 4th best DPS unit in the game, guys. So underrated unit right there. And then, of course, we have a unit. Oh, man, actually... I made a mistake, guys. We forgot a unit. Oh, man, we forgot a unit, guys. Now this one is going to surprise you. He's actually only the 6th highest DPS in the game, guys. We got boros 7-star. I know, that's crazy, guys. The reason he's so low is you could only place one of him. And his SPA is very high as well. So we have him at the 6th highest DPS in the game. All right, next up, guys, we have the 3rd highest DPS in the game. Now, technically, I think he should probably be higher on this list because his DPS calculation does not count in this OP ability because it's a one-time use. But factoring in this ability, I could definitely see an argument for him being the best damage unit in the game. All right, because his ability, if I remember correctly, does 6.5 billion to all enemies on the map. And he's also the best bleed unit in the game by far, 11 for 5. It's not even close. Like, Zoro's literally crying right now. So here we go, guys. Now we only have 2 more units left. So let's go take a look at the top 2 DPS units in the game. All right, here we go, guys. Here are the top 2 DPS units in the game. You guys can probably see they haven't changed. So let's go compare and contrast them real quick. All right, first up we have Dark. Now Dark is the GOAT because he's Black Flames with 4.8 million compared to Obito. All right, where Obito only had like 3 million something, 3.6. So that's a lot better. Now I guess this guy also does have the leader bonus. So ignore that. ignore the it should be at 4.18 million. So like about 500,000 more TPS and only slightly damage, and it's only slightly higher SPA. And then of course, guys, we got our boy Guts. Now Guts is the GOAT. He is very expensive though, so keep that in mind. But I guess he's not that expensive considering how much boros cost. He is a cool 13 million to max, but look at that, guys, 14 million for 5 SPA. Now he is only a single placement, which is why they're only actually barely different in DPS. I have Guts clocked in at about 4 million DPS, and I have Yami clocked in at about 3.6 million DPS. Take a look at that. And so and the other thing is you can actually play 8 of these guys, but not that you could afford it because that would cost you so freaking much money. So that's what it is. All right, so there you go, guys. Those are the highest DPS units in the game. Let me know what you think about it down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.